Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I am the food enthusiast here at Jamer Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, please feel free to drop your comments or questions for myself or my guest into the comment box here on Facebook. And you'll see me turn my head and check from time to time. There was a time when I had over 300 cookbooks. I actually would sell some off to other cookbook junkies to make room for more. I probably should have been admitted to the Betty Ford Clinic for cookbook addiction. And let me just say, I am one of a multitude of cookbook junkies out there. We are a tribe. Today's guest, Jane Kelly, loved to cook, had many cookbooks, but what recipe was in what cookbook? She saw a need, and when there's a need, there's a business, and she was sharp enough to realize that. And she and her sister started building a website that indexed their cookbooks so they could easily find the recipes that they loved. And by 2009, the website was up and it offered more than the indexing. It was basically grown into a worldwide community. Enter Katie Thacher, who is our guest as well. And she created the app called CookShelf.app, where it is now able to go on your phone, scan, and brought things up to date, quicker retrieval on these recipes. Both Katie and Jane are food enthusiasts. They love cooking, they love cookbooks. So it became a match made in heaven. Katie took over the company, I guess, about 2 years ago. And the mission was the same as it was on Eat Your Books, which was created by Jane. Get people back to their books, their cookbooks with screens off. More than 15,000 cookbooks are indexed and more on Eat Your Book website and tied in with CookShelf application for your phones. Joining the conversation today is Jane Kelly and Katie Thacher. Let's bring them on in.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
it's good to see you all. I'm going to sit here and do a little technical stuff. My usual question when I start, and I'm going to do it with both of you. What's on your plate to do today other than doing the show?
Do you mean food-wise or in general life?
Anything. It's just,
Well, I'm going to the ballet tonight. I'm going to Boston Ballet. Is doing the most amazing performance. It's called The Seasons, and I've seen it before, and it's the most stunning ballet I've ever seen. So I'm very excited about going to it tonight. I have seen it before, but I'm going again tonight. But yes, and the rest of the day I'll be working.
Well,
okay.
you have a much more interesting answer than I do. I'm working and then picking up my kids and then having dinner with them, putting them to bed, and then probably going to sleep myself because, as you might hear, I'm not feeling my very top. So it's going to be a chill day.
Well, I thank you for popping in, even though you're not 100%. Um, I'm passionate about finding out why food became important to people or the family table. So, Jane, I throw it to you. Obviously, by your accent, you weren't brought up in the United States, Great Britain. What was your family table like?
So I was the oldest of five kids, and my mum worked. So I basically took over the cooking because I really enjoyed it. I mean, baking is my passion, but I love cooking as well. And I took it over, and it just became my thing. And I started buying cookbooks. Actually, my very first cookbook, interestingly, since I was brought up in the UK, my very first cookbook of my own, rather than using my mum's, was my mum gave me The Joy of Cooking for my 13th birthday. And I'm sort of thinking, why would she give me Joy of Cooking? It's a very American book. But anyway, maybe that was a prophecy for where I would end up. And
Yeah.
then I moved to the States 26 years ago. But yeah, so I basically built up a cookbook collection from the age of 13. So
Did they make it from the UK to the US?
I now have 3,500. Yeah, yeah, they're all here. Yeah. I didn't have as many then when I moved 26 years ago because I hadn't started Eat Your Book. So I had probably about 700 then. And they all came with me. And I just moved actually this month, last month. And I don't think my movers had ever seen quite so many boxes of books. And I don't have room for them all at the moment. They're all mainly in the basement of the place I'm living in, and I've got these 200 or so, maybe a bit more, with me now, but the rest are all in boxes, which is going to be very hard.
Yeah. All right, Katie, your family
Yeah.
table.
Well, I grew up, my dad was the one who liked to cook the most, but he also was the one who worked the most. And so my mom did most of the cooking. And I'd say we were very much a like fresh foods family. We didn't eat prepared things and stuff, but nor was it very interesting. We had our family table tended to be a pile of white rice, a protein, like it could be a steak or a piece of chicken breast or a piece of fish, and some steamed vegetables, which is perfectly fine. Like this is great food, you know, but there was not a lot of creativity going on in our day-to-day life. And somehow, despite that, I was always just deeply obsessed with cooking. Like my earliest memories are making quote recipes from mud pies and other recipes, great kids book, um, for like my dolls and stuff, and following them to the T. And so I got really into cookbooks, I think in part because I wasn't kind of learning as an apprentice the way some people do in their homes. I was I needed a book, an inspiration to teach me about flavors. And in particular, there was one book, the Herb Farm Cookbook from a local restaurant that was a very high end kind of early in
Jerry
the early
Tronfeld.
days of yes, it's Jerry Tronfeld's first cookbook. Wonderful book. Um, and it was like the early days of really cooking with herbs and cooking with these more creative flavors. And he was pushing the boundaries so much on what people thought was like a normal way to do things. But beyond that, like the book just was brilliant at its method, its descriptions of methods. It
Right.
had really clear descriptions. And so that book taught me to cook. Um, and by the time I was 12, I think I'd cooked everything in it. And like Jane, I was like saving up my allowance for buying
Did you
cookbooks.
did you do the stuffing with the dried porcinis?
Yes, delicious. So
I
good.
he came, I had mentioned off air to my guest that I used to food style for chefs that came into town, and I was also the
Yeah.
local American Institute of Wine and Food. So Jerry's family was from Maryland. He was
Okay, yeah.
coming in, so I did a special event for him for American Institute of Wine and Food. So I got to meet him, but I remember him asking for us to get shiso, and that
Yes.
was not available here.
Yeah, there were things where it's like if you want to find it, the only possible way is go to a nursery, a plant store, like buy the
Right.
plant. Um, yeah,
Jerry,
he's amazing. I actually owe so much to Jerry. He not only like wrote the cookbook that taught me to cook, but then I met him and um, I tested recipes for his second cookbook, which was so cool. And then he gave me my first job when I was 15, and I did some just like prep work in his kitchens and gardens, and it was amazing. He's such a wonderful chef and person, and I owe a lot to him for who I became as a cook.
Jane, I understand indexing, but there is a possibility that somebody listening to this doesn't understand indexing. So let's explain the genesis of each your books and what indexing is.
So the idea when I and my sister Fiona created the site was to make it easy to find recipes in your own cookbook collection. I mean, not everyone has as many as I do, but still, even if you've got 20, 30 books, it's a slow process trying to find a recipe, either because you can't remember where it is and it's something you cooked before, or because you want to find something new. And so we wanted to make it as easy as possible. So we indexed by taking the key data from each page of the cookbook into a database. So that would be the ingredients, and then we would add our own category tags for the type of recipe it was, whether it was a special diet, whether it was for any special occasion, if it was seasonal, lots of different category tags like that you wouldn't actually even get in the back of the book index. So it was much more detailed, but also obviously much faster because you're entering what you want and you're getting the results for all of your cookbooks that you own instantly rather than having to look in the each book individually. So that was the idea. And this is back in, well, 07, I came up with the idea. Fiona and I spent 2 years building the site and getting enough data in there that it was going to be worthwhile to launch, because obviously we had to have all the main well-known cookbooks indexed before we launched it. So we launched it in 09. And, really then it was very manual. It's a very manual process. We had people, our indexers would sit there with a physical cookbook, entering the data. That has slightly changed well, it's changed over time because now most of the publishers supply us with PDFs rather than physical books, and then our indexers use those to index from. And we're starting to automate a little bit more of it, but generally still, it needs quite a lot of knowledge to get it right. It has to be people, our indexers are all people who are very knowledgeable about food and cooking. It's not just something you can send off to a data inputter in India or something, because they have to have a good knowledge when they're looking at a recipe, because as I said, we're putting in a lot more information than is available just on the page. The whole concept of how people want to find recipes. Yeah.
What I want to explain to people, that you had worked in business, you had worked, oh gosh, I had so much stuff here written down. Okay. You worked in TV and radio and music in the UK, and you helped start the first music TV station in Europe. I mean, you're no slacker.
No, and I think that really helped me. Fiona, my sister, was her background was in tech. She'd worked for Microsoft for a long time, and so our combination was really good because I had this sort of operational experience of setting up a business and running a business. I'd done 3 different startups for Virgin, which is who I worked for in my career. So, but when I wanted to start my own business, I really wanted to do something that I was passionate about. You want to do something that doesn't feel like a job. And so, when I was trying to think up a business idea, it was really cookbooks that I wanted to do. So actually, right the way back, 1997, I started a business selling cookbooks. At that time, Amazon was really pretty small, and it felt like, the internet was quite new, and it felt like it was sort of a level playing field in terms of getting in as a new business. It really wasn't, because Amazon undercut so much on price. And my site was really cool and it had lots of great features, including one which was called What's in the Fridge, which was how to find a recipe in a book by putting in what you've got in your fridge, which was the precursor to Eat Your Books. And but I ended up having to close it because Amazon just made it so difficult to compete.
Understandably.
Yeah.
And Jane, your background was more, Katie, sorry, I'm not good with 2 people interviewing at the same time. So your background, you have an MBA in technology marketing. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you had set your sights. Did you know it was going to be, were you thinking food, or how did the 2 of you gel? How did you meet, and how did this happen?
Well, I'll tell a little bit about my career before this, but I'd always kind of bounced back and forth when I was thinking about what I wanted to do between food and tech and building products. I really enjoyed the craft of building tech products, but the thing that gets me excited is food. And there were some jobs that I had early where if I had a break, I'd be in a Word document, it looks like I'm working and I'm writing up a menu for my dinner party that weekend. And so I always wished I could find a way to like bring these things together. And so I actually did work at a company called Chef Steps earlier in my career, which made a sous vide device and did cooking content. And I did really love that it could be like doing the type of work that I like in the space that I like.
Right.
And it wasn't the long-term fit for me. And also the company evolved a lot after that, like sold and whatnot. But I went to work at Amazon where I focused entirely on just product management for these consumer apps, for the Kindle app and for Amazon Music, focusing on the podcast product. Um, and then when I left Amazon, I left partly because I wanted to do something I cared more about personally and probably start something myself because I felt like I wanted to be in an environment where what I'm working on, what I think is important is what's important, and I can kind of have these aligned incentives, if that makes sense. So I hadn't had a plan yet about like what I wanted to do exactly. I knew I wanted to start a company. I knew I wanted it to be in the cooking space. I had some ideas around like recommendations because I've worked a lot in search and recommendations engines. Um, but like the click moment came for me. I was sitting at a cafe, like having coffee in the morning on one of these leisurely days between jobs, and using Eat Your Books to plan a dinner party, just like I used to do at my job. Um, excuse me, I'm sorry. And I was just having this feeling of like, oh, I love this product so much, but like I wish it could do so much more. All these ideas. Like, wouldn't it be cool if? And then I thought, like, okay, how about instead of just like fantasizing about it, I at least try. Like maybe they'll talk with me. They'll probably ignore any email that like I'm like a nobody. Like they probably will never respond to me, but like I might as well reach out, right? And I did, and Jane very kindly responded and took my call. And we talked initially about a partnership, but then it just like became clear that it made more sense to just do this together, to just build the next phase of Eat Your Books together and not try to make it like I'm building a separate company that sort of partners
Right.
with or something. So we got along really well. I think the timing worked out really well, and it has been so much fun to work together.
I can imagine, first of all, it's
Yeah, we'd always, Fiona and I'd always loved the idea of creating an app, but we just didn't have the experience to do it in the way and we'd talked to app companies about doing it, and we just always felt it just needs someone else with different expertise than we have. So when Katie came along and started talking about maybe licensing our data or working, as she says, in a partnership, I just thought, really, it's just going to make much more sense if it's all in one company. And Katie's much younger than me, and I'm reaching, the end of my career. And I just thought, yeah, this is a way for me to move on and it to go to a much more dynamic and younger and more tech savvy team than we had.
And it's been
this.
so great that like we share exactly the same mission.
Yeah.
We want the exact same end goal, and we come at it with different expertise. And like Jane was saying, like I've worked in apps before. I know how to build this type of thing. And so I can come at it with some like different techniques about how to get there. But at the end of the day, when you are this closely aligned on what the mission is and what we're trying to build for customers, it works beautifully.
It is such a community, and it's it's the main core is indexing these books and the recipes. The simplicity of it is you enter, they're already entered in to the system. But there's more to it's not only just the cookbooks, the magazines, the maybe the recipes from the New York Times are indexed. People keep track of that, or Bon Appetit, and now we have a new gourmet. Um, and members will go in and leave notes saying, well, okay, I cooked Jerry Schonfeld's mushroom stuffing with porcini. I didn't have porcini, but I rehydrated some Asian dried mushrooms. And he said people leave notes, and not due to the expense, not every cookbook has a photograph of every dish. So your members are uploading photographs.
Yeah.
And other people can see that and know what they're looking to accomplish. You do a cookbook preview. All the publishers love you. I'm sure they get you all the updated information. So what books are coming out? And then Jane, you garnish every year. You go through so many different lists of the top cookbooks for the year. So you just published, I think, in January, the top picks.
Yeah, by taking like 350 best cookbook lists around the entire world, we create a best of the best, showing which cookbooks are top rated around the entire world. So yeah, I mean, that was really important to us, and is being carried on with the CookShelf app as well, that the community of members who are using it actually are sharing their knowledge. Because there's nowhere else that you can find out information about how a cookbook recipe works. You know, you can do it for online recipes because there's comments and stuff, but with cookbooks or magazines, there's really not. So it, the fact that we have that sharing of knowledge, experience, as you say, uploading photos, rating the recipes, adding notes, is a huge part of the site. It makes it so valuable for our members.
Yeah, I think the community is essential. It's what makes this, it kind of take the key pieces that make online recipes good, which like it's very useful to use the internet when you want to search for something, to discover something, and then to see what other people thought of it. And so we want to take those pieces, but then bring it to an experience of actually cooking from a real book, which is just indisputably nicer than cooking from a screen. And so we do see a lot of people really excited about the comments and the pictures and just this sense of like, oh, okay, we get this, like we get a community and we get more context around the recipes that we're cooking. It's also something that we're working on a lot in the app is it's easier to like upload your photo when you're just shooting the photo on your phone, adding it to CookShelf right there, adding your notes right along with it. So we're trying to kind of take away some of that friction around going to the website to do these things, make it as easy as possible for our members to do this, because the easier it is, the more of them do it, and then the more useful it is for everybody else.
One of the things I want to point out, through this, you're going to a trusted source, your cookbook. What you pick up online can be artificial intelligence that pulled from this cookbook and that cookbook. Nobody's tested it. It's there. And you've invested time and money and it doesn't work. So it all makes sense to me. And you do the cookbook reviews. There are forums for people to come in and talk, blogs, cookbook giveaways. There's a world calendar because your audience is so large. Australia, mostly English-speaking countries. And so if I'm here in Baltimore, I can click on and see if anybody's doing any cookbook demo, or if I'm traveling to Australia and maybe I want to hook up and see a famous Australian chef doing a cookbook demo. All that information is on each your book, which is obviously connected with the CookShelf.app people. All this information is coming up in the comments section. One of the things that I thought was interesting, Katie, you do a Substack, and you interviewed June Jacobs, who's a very famous cookbook author. And I just love the question you ask her, so I'm going to ask the both of you. What cookbook in your collection is the most spattered upon or falling apart from use. So, Jane, which cookbook has suffered the most?
Oh gosh, I have rather a lot of cookbooks, but it would probably be a baking book. And it's a toss-up between Nigella Lawson's How to Be a Domestic Goddess, which I have made a lot of recipes from, and Otto Lengi and Helen Go's Sweet, which I have also made a lot of recipes from. Helen Go's new book, Baking and the Meaning of Life, I love as well, but that hasn't had quite so many splatters on it. But yeah, I tend to move around more with my general cooking than I do with my baking. Those two, Nigella's How to Be a Domestic Goddess and Ottolenghi's Sweet, are the two probably that I use the most.
Wonderful. Okay, Katie, back to you. It was your
Yeah.
question. You should be prepared.
I mean, I hate to be redundant, but it's definitely the Herb Firm Cookbook from Jerry Schronfeld. I'm actually on my second copy of it because the
Really?
first one fell apart when I was like 12. It was already, I still have it, but it's just a collection of pages. Like it doesn't hold together in any cohesive way. Um, but like to give something new in this answer, I think the more recent cookbook that's been the most abused is Tender Heart by Hetty McKinnon. Um, I have made so many of those recipes. I think it partly just like speaks to how I cook and plan a lot, which is that I'll like buy vegetables that look great and then search in CookShelf to see what recipes I have that feature those vegetables that are going to make like a like interesting, flavorful meal, but also, 70% of the things I make are pretty easy because I am also working and cooking on weeknights before my kids' bedtime. So it's not like I'm doing giant projects every day. And I feel like Hetty's recipes really thread that needle so well. They're always interesting new flavors, like things that I wouldn't necessarily have come up with on my own. And they do that without being like multi-hour efforts. So that one has gotten quite a lot of use and soy sauce splatters and whatnot.
Yeah. You said multi-hours. I remember, and I can't tell you the cookbook. And baking is a challenge for me, Jane. It really is, but I go for it. And it was this cookbook with a chocolate cake with a caramel chocolate pretzel icing. 3 days, 3 days to make your own caramel, to do this, to do that. And I invited my neighbors over and cut it, took a bite, and I went, this was not worth it.
Oh no.
But I mean, it tasted good, but
Yeah, not good enough. Yeah.
I like the challenges, that's for sure. So Jane, from starting Eat Your Books, it has grown. And let's explain to people that it's a membership. So I'll let you take the bull by the horn and explain all the benefits and how they can become a member of Eat Your Books and get CookShelf application. Go for it.
Yeah, well, there's two levels of membership. There's the premium paid membership, which is $40 a year, and you can have a monthly membership, which is slightly more because the processing fees are much higher for a monthly membership than an annual. So let's say it's US 40, which is, not a few dollars, it's only a few dollars a month. And for that, you can add all of your cookbooks, all of your food magazines, and as much online content as you want. And so you're creating a search engine basically of everything that you own. The other option is a free membership, which only allows you to add 5 of your cookbooks. It's really a way of just trying out the site, see if you like it, but you can add unlimited online recipes or blogs if you have a free membership. So, I mean, the reason why it's a paid membership is that this is a fairly specialized site. Obviously, it's grown a lot over the years, but it's a lot of those sites that are free, they're basically the way they're making their money is from advertising to you or using the data about you. So if you're not paying, you are the product. So we don't do that. We don't share any of our member data with anyone. We basically, once you're a member, your data stays completely within the site. And it is expensive to index. As I explained earlier, it's a manual process of our indexer sitting there with the book or the PDF and entering the data. And, all those other features that you mentioned, the world calendar, the previews of all the cookbooks that are coming up, the reviews of the cookbooks, that all costs money. So that's why it's a paid membership rather than a free site.
Wow.
I'd add just two things I want to add. Yeah. One, you can try the premium membership for free for 2 weeks. So if you sign up, you get a free trial, and it's a great way to just get a sense of it. And then if it doesn't make sense, you can take some of your books off your shelf and go down to the free membership for $5. So it's something that you can test out and see if it fits in your life. And then also with regards to it being a paid membership, yeah, we keep updating it. It's if we ever just if we stop indexing books, stop making that better, then yeah, maybe it would go down. Maybe you could just keep using it forever. But at this point, it keeps getting better, and so we're going to keep investing in it. And to do that, to make sure that we don't kind of lose any incentive to make it better for people who have already been using it, we do need it to be a subscription.
Well,
and we try to keep the cost as low as we can.
You should earn some money. You have things that you have to
Well, and
pay
importantly,
for.
our employees should earn some money. We don't want to stiff them.
Right.
So.
And it's just fascinating, the whole food community. When I said it, we are a tribe, these cookbook junkies. And I think Jenny Harton, does she still work for you?
Oh, yes, very much.
All right. So Jenny oversees Facebook, the Cookbook Junkies, and she's very much involved with it. We are many. Membership, it's sort of worldwide. Can you give us an approximation of how many members you have? Or you care to share?
I don't want to get too specific, but we have well over 100,000 people in our broader community. They are not all of them paying members, but that's what's really great is to be part of our community doesn't mean that you have to be using the paid product. You can really be there for the cookbook reviews or the blog or using it with a smaller number of books. And so we're also growing really, really quickly at this point. And I think especially with the CookShelf app kind of reaching new audiences, we're seeing doubling month over month subscribers for paid, which is really exciting. It's really exciting to see more and more people getting more out of their cookbooks. And I'm just delighted that we're kind of hitting this moment where I think people really do want to get off their phones and stop just having to cook online recipes. They want to use their physical books and have that more tangible experience. So I think it's hitting a nerve right now. Cookbooks are so well loved and have been for many, many years, but it's only increasing now. And there's, like you mentioned, AI earlier. I think as we feel that the generic recipes are maybe getting crappier, to put it nicely, over time as the AI takes over those spaces, I think there's even more demand for real creators, real people who put time and energy into making and testing and applying creativity to their recipes. And so it feels like in this moment more than ever, this is something people want, and it's exciting to see it resonating.
And cookbooks teach us about the world.
They do. They open up whole new experiences for us. I think they're such a great way of learning a different person's perspective, a different perspective from a different culture or country.
I mean, yeah, I might not be able to ever travel to Burma, but I can read a Burmese cooking book and learn a huge amount about the country and the people from the cookbook. Yeah.
Right. I think, I'm one of those people when I get a cookbook, especially, I always like the header notes or if there's a story
Yeah.
before the recipe. And that's important. It's a cookbook to me is a novel. That's how I read it. From front to back, look, enjoy, and learn so much. Even if I'm not immediately cooking that recipe, there's just something that comes to me. I just want to say that everyone, all the information, eatyourbooks.com and cookshelf.app.
For
It is,
CookShelf, you're better off just going straight to the App Store and searching CookShelf. It'll be right there.
yeah, CookShelf. So CookShelf, everything, it's a joint business. So you're not, when you go to Eat Your Books in a membership, you get CookShelf, and CookShelf, if you sign up for that, you get Eat Your Books. It is
Yeah.
all combined.
Yeah, and it syncs, all of your data syncs across between the two platforms. You don't have to enter anything twice. If you do it on one, it updates the other.
And obviously with the app, it's much easier. Isn't there something you can photograph the spines of your book and then you can see
You
if
scan the
they're
barcodes, so you can just get a stack out of barcodes and you're going to scan, and it'll load them all in.
great, great.
Yeah.
All right. It's time for my wonderful questions at the end of the show. But I do have a question for you, Katie. And Jane. All right, Jane, your COO. I think when I approached you, you said, I'm not going to be here much longer. What are your goals? Are you going to go to an island, sit back and let somebody cook for you? What does the future hold for you?
Well, as I said earlier, I just moved last month and I moved to a lovely little town in north of Boston by the sea. And that was my retirement fantasy that I would move to this town. It's called Rockport. And I'm just very excited to be here. And so, yeah, that's my retirement plan. I mean, I won't ever stop cooking and being interested in cookbooks. I'm still involved with the site for quite a few more years. Maybe not in the same role, but I will still be involved for a while, and I'll always be there to help in any way I can because I just love the site. I love the members. I love, everything about it. So even when I'm not involved anymore, I'll still want to be helping.
Which I am endlessly grateful.
All right, Katie, what is your next step for CookShelf and Eat Your Books?
Yeah, I mean, we've already been taking the next step, really. It's not the nice thing about having Jane on board for this time and having an overlap period. So it's not like Jane is running the company and then I'm running the company. We get to do this together. Is that there's not like a harsh transition where like Jane's gone, okay, now I'll take the company a new direction. No, it's the same direction. So what's next though is just continually adding, I think, more exciting ways to interact with your books and with the cookbook community through CookShelf. And so one thing that we are really excited about bringing to the app is a way to follow your friends and to kind of see in real time what are other people cooking, people that you care about, not just anybody necessarily, but what are kind of people in your immediate community making and which books are they enjoying and what books might you like. And so I'm excited to make it more of a hub for that communal aspect, which is already there in the comments and the photos, like you've mentioned. Um, but I think uh, it can be even more deeply embedded in the app experience, and we can provide even more ways for people to connect uh, and kind of geek out together over cookbooks.
Thank you. Very well put.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to throw out these questions. You jump in. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Jane.
I think one of the things that I feel at my advanced age is not caring what other people think. Just do what you think is right and forget all the other noise and just, carry on doing what you And I suppose also my experience with Eat Your Books is just stick at something, even if, it feels like it's really hard. And, too many people just give up. And I know when we started Eat Your Books in '07, there were a lot of other sites, not like Eat Your Books exactly, but there were a lot of other recipe planning sites, recipe search sites, what for online, whatever. They've all gone because they didn't stick with it. And Fiona and I just felt we really believe in this. And it was hard at the beginning. We had to put a lot of money into it. We had to work 7 days a week, long days, very long days, and we didn't pay ourselves anything. And so a lot of people just wouldn't have done that. But we
Yeah,
really believed in it. So I think those are the two things. Just, if you really believe in something, stick at it because it's going to be worth it. And the other thing is just do what you think is right rather than caring what other people are telling you is right.
great, great. Okay, any answer to that, Katie?
I always struggle with this question, honestly. I
You're
think
much closer
it's
to
so hard.
18 than I am.
Yeah. 2 years ago when I was 18. Just kidding. If only. Um, but no, I think like advice is tough. Like it is hard for advice to be truly useful as the recipient. Like the giver, you see why it mattered so much, but receiving advice, I think sometimes you just have to learn things yourselves. Otherwise, they feel like platitudes. So if I could make myself at 18 like truly internalize both those things that Jane just said, I would. Um, but I think when I look back, like there are things I have learned along the way. I think it was valuable to actually just learn them by doing it, by making
Okay,
mistakes sometimes.
all right. All right, if you could wake up tomorrow morning with a new talent, what would it be?
Singing. I wish I could sing. I never have been able to sing, even when I don't have this going on.
Jane?
I mean, if we're looking within the food space, something I have never mastered and is going to be one of my retirement projects is bread making. I'm fine with quick breads and sort of pizza dough and that kind of thing, but I've never really got into the whole bread making thing. And I really want to master that, particularly sourdough. And so I think that's going to be one of my retirement projects is mastering bread.
All
I've got a
right.
huge number of books ready.
Really? What a
Yeah.
surprise.
Yeah.
What two things must be in your refrigerator?
Well, for me,
My
oh, sorry, go ahead, Katie.
okay, I say my refrigerator is a bit of like a mess. It's all I have an entire bottom shelf of like the 50 things that must be in my refrigerator. So it's a little hard to say, but I have all these condiments and whatnot. But there certainly always needs to be milk because the kids eat cereal every morning, and I'm in real trouble if there's no milk. Um, and then similarly, eggs. And I know those are very boring answers, but like you gotta have those. If I can add a third, I'm gonna say there should always be Greek yogurt.
Okay, you can
I'd,
have a
yeah,
third
I'd
because
agree
I
with
like
I,
you.
I'd agree with Katie on all of those, but I'm going to go more unusual just because we know that we've all got to have eggs and
Yeah.
milk. So the two things that I always have in my refrigerator, just because I feel like they always add a pop of flavor to any dish when you're thinking, oh, this needs something extra, is black olives and preserved lemons. I make my own preserved lemons and I've always got a jar on the go in the fridge. And when it's starting to run low, I make another jar. So I've always got them available when I need them. I think both of those things just add a really good extra pop. And yeah. So those are two things I always have.
What's the best bite you've had all week?
I made Hetty McKinnon's from her new cookbook Linger uh, mapo tofu salad last night, which is like a sautéed cabbage, crispy tofu, and a mapo sauce kind of, and it was really just so delicious. Um, yeah, that bite of like a little bit of cabbage, that tofu and the sauce, excellent. And even 5 and 7 year olds agreed.
Oh, that's good. If you can keep your kids
Yeah.
happy with what you make, you're always a winner. Last night I made a Jamie Oliver recipe. It was a fish curry, which was with coconut milk and tomatoes, spinach, cilantro. It was really nice with a lemon rice. It was also a Jamie Oliver. recipe, and I like that. I hadn't made that before. Enjoyed that. But the thing I made this week that I absolutely loved, and I'm going to make it again tomorrow because it was so good, was a blood orange and almond cake. It was
Ooh,
so good, and it looks so pretty because the blood oranges are on the bottom of the cake, and then when you tip it out, they're on the top. And they sort of, because the blood oranges are different colors, like red and orange, it looked like a stained glass window. It was just beautiful. And so yeah, that was my wow recipe this week.
What book was that from?
It was actually from Taste, the Penguin Random
Oh,
House
cool. Yeah.
site. It wasn't from a book.
Uh-huh.
And I was trying to find a blood orange and almond cake, and that one came out. Quite a lot of them had olive
Yeah.
oil. And I do like the idea of that, but my olive oil is very strong flavored and peppery, and I didn't think that would work in a cake. And I didn't have time to go out and buy a milder one. So I was looking for something that didn't have olive oil. And so that was so actually I didn't get that one from a cookbook, but Taste is sort of a publisher allied site. So yeah, yeah,
yeah. Taste is a good site.
yeah.
And finally, what didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
Hmm. Yeah.
This
You've been
this is
such a
tough.
you've been such a good interviewer. We can't come up with anything. You've asked
Uh,
us everything you should have. Um,
another gold star. Yay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I
I
don't.
mean,
I'm
I would suggest one, but I actually, off the top of my head, can't think of the answer, so I probably shouldn't suggest it. Maybe Katie does. What book that's coming out this year are you most excited about? Actually, I do know Ottolenghi's got a new book coming
yeah.
out, Comfort 2. And so I'm always excited about a new Ottolenghi book. He's probably the person I cook from more than anyone else. So I am answering my question. So, Katie, do you know what book that's coming out
Yeah.
this year?
Honestly, probably same. I've been pretty excited about the diaspora cookbook as well.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, I did see. I went to see Ottolenghi at on his tour, and it was really fun.
It was. I saw it in
Quite a
Boston.
different
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. He's entertaining. Do you know
It's
Diaspora, Dara? They're a spice company
Which
and they do
company?
a diaspora company. They do spices. Absolutely really good. They work directly with farmers in India. And so it's fair trade. They pay fair prices for them, and the quality of the spices is excellent. They've just brought out their
so
first,
good.
so good.
Well, I used to work for a company called Van Spices, and they did private label for Martha Stewart, and they're now more private label company. And there are barrel, something in barrel.
Yeah,
They're pretty
burlap
much,
and barrel.
Well, up and
yeah,
barrel, yeah.
Yeah.
they're back to paying the growers. They're
Yeah.
they're doing single sourcing too.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you. I could probably talk food and cookbooks. And I didn't ask you the question, your ultimate culinary fail, but I have had you on here for almost an hour. So I'm going to let you go cook something interesting for today. And I'm probably going to get carry out. That's my reward on Thursdays.
Wonderful. All right. Well,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much for having us. This has been really
Yes.
lovely.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Really
it.
enjoyed it.
Feel better, Katie. And thank you, Jane, for
Thank you.
saying yes.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Next week's guest is cookbook author, travel writer, Casablanca, Moroccan-born Kitty Morse. She has written 11 cookbooks, including the award-winning Cooking at the Casbah. Her most recent book is a family memoir with recipes titled with recipes. The book is titled Bittersweet: A Wartime Journal and Heirloom Recipes from Occupied France. Do join the conversation next Thursday. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at Dara Cooks on Instagram. And on Facebook, there is a Food Enthusiast page, as well as at J More Living. You can go to their website.com, and up under the menu, when you click on food, you can go to the Food Enthusiast, where all 276 shows are there for your preview. All shows are immediately archived in video form on JMore Living's Facebook page, jmoreliving.com, and a YouTube channel. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. Feel free to go back into the archives and enjoy past shows. As always, may your plates always, always remain full. Hope to see you next Thursday.